Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Bite Size Podcast. I'm your host Clayton, and we're here today to preview the 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow afternoon. It's Wolves versus Arsenal, and delighted to be able to welcome Bradley Parker onto the podcast to preview the game. Brad, welcome to the pod. How you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm all right. Apart from football, we pretend that doesn't exist at the minute until we have
That's
to.
as long as the rest of life is all right. That's the main thing. Football is sometimes just a part of life, and I think with how Wolves this season's going, I can understand where you're coming from. We'll get into that in a bit, but before we do, I always like to kind of get to know the opposition fans and a bit about their kind of history with the club. So, can you tell us a bit about how you got into supporting Wolves?
I think I was just basically born to be that way. My dad's a Wolves fan, my uncle's a Wolves fan, so I was pretty much beat into this sad life of supporting Wolves. The disappointment of it all. I couldn't have been born somewhere better. Some
And
with a bigger with a club that wins every week. I
and
didn't get that
how
pleasure.
how local are you to Molineux then?
Pretty local. Where I used to live originally, it's technically Warsaw or
Okay.
Wednesbury, but the Midlands is quite close to everywhere where I was. So I literally just walked up the road. It says "Welcome to Wolverhampton." So I was closer to Wolves than I was to Walsall in a weird way, even though I had a Walsall postcode.
Fair play. And one thing I forgot to mention at the start is actually Bradley's the Planet FPL correspondent for Wolves. The Wolves channel on Slack is always the most interesting channel to be involved in. But this season, it's been interesting, I guess, for the wrong reasons. I mean, the question is going to be a crap question because I think I kind of know the answer. But what is the mood amongst Wolves fans at the minute?
Doomsday, I'd say. Doomsday level. We've entered Chernobyl Wolves.
If I could phrase it maybe a different way, then, like, do you think that your current position in the league table actually reflects the quality of the squad, or do you think it's more of accumulation of other factors
Um,
this season and maybe other shortcomings?
I think it's a culmination of all the shortcomings put together, especially at the back is where the chickens have come home to roost. That is the biggest one. That's been needed addressing before Kilman left. So he left. They tried to replace with Mosquera, who was coming back anyway, so it's not really a replacement. Mosquera then got injured, and it's been diabolical at the back ever since. I just think like there's rot in the club, and it's just steaming down to the pitch now because there's still got a lot of quality players there. I believe. I just think like their headspace has just got totally clouded, and like the saying, I can't remember the exact saying, but like the fish rots from the head,
Yeah.
something like that. So it's all just it's come from there.
And
Years of poor decisions.
yeah, that was kind of my next question. When you talk about years of poor decisions, like I can't remember what season it was, so excuse my ignorance, but like that year under Nuno, where you were kind of flying with Jota, Jimenez, and I think like won the hearts of like every neutral in the league, I'd say, and kind of going for European spots and stuff. Like you talk about years of poor decisions. What for people like a lot of the audience on this channel that are Arsenal fans that may not know the detail, what are some of those poor decisions that has kind of led to the position Wolves are in at the minute?
Not strengthening when you're in the position of power to strength. Like under Bruno Lage, people forget it started quite well under Bruno Lage, and they had a chance to back him in January to probably push on just a little bit more because he just needed probably some more forward options and again another defender. But they ignored that, and then that started to go downhill. And then from there, it sort of rolled on with poor recruitment overall. They sort of pick up really good players here or there, but then the balance of the squad's poor. Like now we've got Doherty playing centre back. Why? We shouldn't be like Doherty's like past it now. It's not his fault, but he's got to be a squad player at best, not starting every week in a back three. Like when Gary O'Neill's forcing Semedo into a back three at centre back, why?
Yeah,
You
and I
shouldn't be
guess
doing square pegs in round holes jobs a lot of the
yeah,
time.
that's it. And like you touched on there, you obviously got decent money in for Kilman, decent fee in for Neto, and again from the outside, I don't think you really reinvested it, did you? Is that
No, not really. They brought Rodrigo Gomez before Neto was sold, but he was only like £12 million, so it's not really like it wasn't even money from Neto being sold. Really,
yeah,
Kilman's money's just been completely banked. They'll probably say, "Oh, we brought Andre." I'm like, yeah, but Andre is a centre midfielder. Like,
and I obviously I warned you about this before, but I do have to ask about the elephant in the room. I hate doing stuff like this, but Matheus Cunha, what is the feeling from the kind of Wolves fan perspective
Um,
at the minute? Because Arsenal have been heavily linked. But yeah, what's your take on everything at the minute? Do you see him leaving in Jan?
I think he'll probably stay. I don't think he'll sign that new contract though. I think he'll probably end up going in the summer, going up. Even if we stay up by some miracle, he'll probably go anyway. But I think the thing with the clapping thing and all that fiasco in the week, I think that's been debunked now because he did. I think he did clap. It wasn't very long. He
It
did
got
it far away
community
as
noted
well.
on Twitter, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think the local reporter got loads of heat from it because Cunha like literally tweeted him saying, "I'm never interview me again." It's like the drama this season's been unreal. If we had a Netflix documentary this year, it would have been maybe the best one.
Yeah, I
Yes, for
think so.
football.
You kind of touched on there as well, like an insight into how you're feeling for the rest of the season. I mean, Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton currently make up the bottom three. Do you think Wolves are better equipped than those teams to avoid the drop, or are you genuinely
Uh,
concerned?
it's genuine concern now because we've got much better players than them individually.
I think so
But
as
if
well,
your
yeah.
players' minds aren't there and their heart is, because Ipswich are going to battle every week, we fold like a deck of cards still at the minute.
Where do you think
And
that's come from?
ultimately, I don't know. I just think we've gone through a lot of captains and that as well recently. So there's probably a lack of leadership and accountability in some players. Maybe some players' heads just aren't meant to just don't deal with it well. Like Cunha seems to be like doing the Fernandez now, where I think where he's throwing his arms around and he's sort of like moaning. Like you need to get a grip and get on with it. You're the best guy here, so drag everybody forward. Stop moaning because when you watch Bruno Fernandez, I think he does that a lot.
Yeah.
Throws his arms up and moans and moans. It just grates on me as a fan. That does. It's just really
Yeah,
annoying.
no, me too. What one thing I'm interested to get your opinion on is the kind of managerial perspective on things. Again, from the outside looking in, I saw a lot of mixed emotions towards Gary O'Neill, and yeah, curious to see what your perspective was on Gary O'Neill's time at Wolves and how you've felt about Vitor Pereira so far. I must confess, I didn't actually watch the Chelsea game, but I watched your defeat against Forest, and like first half, I thought you guys were really good. I don't know how, I can't remember what the score was at halftime in that game, but I didn't know how you weren't winning.
Yeah, story of the Premier League though. It's no good being on top if you don't score. We've got a bad habit of that. I'm sure we've made so far this calendar year like the most big chances in the Prem somehow,
Wow,
but they're not
really?
going in. So I'm sure I saw it somewhere, but it doesn't surprise me they're not. They're just not going in for whatever reason. But Gary O'Neill, I don't know what happened there because it was this first season was quite good overall and unexpected, and it sort of seemed like the club was brought together again a little bit. It seemed like the players was really playing for him, and then it just went off a cliff after we lost to Coventry in the FA Cup. I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes, but it just become clear that his plans or whatever just went out the window and how we play. We don't really have an identity after that point. And the players just down tools for him in the end, quite blatantly. But he didn't help himself either. I don't think in the press sometimes come across as it's never my fault. He's
Yeah,
chucking players under the bus. Pereira, he started all right. I find it hard to judge him sometimes. I just feel like he's got one hand tied behind his back
yeah.
and he's not being helped, so he's just got to do the best with what he's got. Time will tell. I guess it's still quite early, but he
Fair
needs
play.
more players because we need another forward as well. So, but we won't get that.
No, fair play. We'll turn attention to tomorrow. I know you said you're going to be there. I had a ticket for it, but with my bloody injury, I can't make it, annoyingly. So Saturday, 3 o'clock game in the UK. So everyone will know how I'll be trying to watch the game. But we'll never legally disclose how I will be doing it. But yeah, attention turns to tomorrow. Before we do that, just shout out a couple of the guys in the chat. I've got Pontus Johansson in. Afternoon, mate. Uncle Mike. So Uncle Mike, we call him Uncle Mike because he's a little bit of an older fan, but he's young at heart. But yeah, proper gooner. And he said he grew up watching Steve Ball terrorizing defenders. So I'm sure Uncle Mike has some good stories about Steve Ball. Attention turns to tomorrow, and I've made a mistake on the graphic. I've got Aston Villa lineup versus Everton, and that's because the last team Arsenal played in the league was Aston Villa. The graphic's correct. It's Wolves' lineup versus Chelsea, and that's what the title meant to say. Is there any update from the Wolves' perspective on team news, and do you see any changes to the 11 that started against Chelsea?
I'd like to think Sarabi would come out of the team, to be honest. There's no... Unless you're going to have loads of the ball and dominate the game, there's literally no point playing Sarabia.
Interesting. Who would come in for him, do you reckon? Then?
Considering he's probably sticking with his shape, he might... I'd like to see him put Rodrigo Gomez there.
I think he's a good player, he is.
He's a good player. He just brings energy and directness, urgency. Like, some of these players look lethargic at the minute. And he's playing quite well when he plays. I'd rather him put Rodrigo Gomez there. I don't think he will, but I hope he does.
Do you think Cunha's in a headspace where he'll be playing?
Yeah, he's got no choice but to play.
Yeah, sure.
No, with all the noise, it wouldn't surprise me if he scored, to be fair, and done a big performance of celebrating it, Like against Man United, because they was linked with him, weren't they? I think Fabrizio was tweeting his usual rubbish.
Sure.
He seemed to give the Man United fans a big one when he scored from that corner. So it's a bit performative, I think, Cunha. Might be interesting to watch, actually.
Fair play. And I know the mood amongst Wolves fans is quite doom and gloom at the minute, but what are the areas do you think Arsenal fans should be aware of in terms of areas that we should be aware of as a threat, individual players to keep an eye out? Like any underrated players in your squad, do you think? Like not necessarily the players that grab the headlines with goals and output, but just general.
I probably think Andre. I don't think many pundits talk about Andre, but he won't be at Wolves too long. Even if we stay up, he'll be picked off.
What kind of player would you describe him?
Kind of like, in a weird way, Rodri.
Jesus. Okay, fair play.
Strong, mobile, good on the ball, high interceptions and tackles. Yeah, I'd probably. He reminds me a bit like that. Obviously, not to Rodri's mega level, but him and Gomez, if they play well together, might actually against Rice. It might be an interesting battle.
Okay.
So who else have you got to play in midfield? Is it Rice?
Well, yeah. I mean,
just Rice.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Our actual options are Partey, Rice, Marino, for that kind of left 8, number 6, Jorginho, I guess, and then Odegaard on the right-hand side of that midfield 3. But because of Saliba potentially not being out, I'm not sure if Partey will have to go right back, Timber centre back. So yeah, we'll have a look at that in a second. But does that kind of inform something that you'll see tomorrow?
Probably. It definitely will be them pair centre midfield. He can't really play anywhere else. Lemina's been bombed out the squad until January.
What happened with him? Because I saw quite a lot of mixed reports and stuff.
His head's just gone. He just wants to leave. He's unfortunately doing the thing he's done at most of his clubs, which I thought he probably grew out from the way he used to talk here, but obviously not. And he wants to go to Saudi Arabia as well. And I'm like, guy, can't you just wait till the end of the season? Like, you're going to be free at the end of the season. Just wait.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's not even old in the sense towards the end of his career. So the fact that I might have that wrong.
I think.
Okay, so he's still got a couple of years, but it clearly shows. I mean, what he's motivated by, right?
Yeah,
In terms of just in terms of structure, style of play, how do you think you'll approach the game tomorrow? Because from the Arsenal perspective, we struggle against teams that really not park the bus, but I guess it is park the bus. Like some teams defend really well deep against us. Some teams do that mid block really well against us, but it's something that we struggle with. Is that something that you think you'll try and execute tomorrow?
I think so. I think he'll try and catch you on the break if possible. But you only have to get set pieces against us to score. That's going to be a big problem tomorrow. If you've got Gabriel in fancy football, if you want a differential captain.
Oh, Jesus, differential captain. I mean, I was doing my research for this, and I think the stat I saw was Wolves have conceded 10 goals from crosses this season. There was another one.
Feels more than that.
Yeah, James
It
actually
feels
told me
more.
another one. James from Planet FPL. He told me something about specific set pieces, but I forgot what it was. So yeah, okay, one to keep an eye on there. Yeah, on the Arsenal side of things, I've got the graphic from the team that played against Zagreb midweek, but there are a few changes from the Villa game. So in terms of team news, Arteta said Miles Lewis Skelly isn't going to make it for this one. No, sorry, he didn't say that. He said he's got further scans today and they're going to assess to see what the situation is with him. Same with Saliba. He said Ben White isn't going to make it back for this one. But when he was pushed about it in terms of timeline and whether he'll be back for the Newcastle Cup game, he said hopefully by then. So yeah, no Ben White for this week. Miles Lewis, Skelly, Saliba, we'll have to see depending on the scans. I don't think either are going to make it, to be honest. What I think will happen as a result, Calafiori was on the bench midweek against Zagreb, but didn't come on at all. Even Tierney came on before him, so I don't think Calafiori is quite ready. And Arteta post-match did kind of hint that a couple of players on the bench were there, but not quite ready to contribute. So I think the changes to the team will be at centre-back. I don't think Kiwior is going to keep his spot at right centre-back. And yeah, I don't think Sterling will keep his spot. So I think it'll be Raya in goal. I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to go Partey right back just because I don't think he'll go Kiwior right centre back again. As a result, I think it will be Timber, Gabriel, Zinchenko again as the back four. I think it will be. I can't work out if it will be Jorginho, Rice, Odegaard, or Rice, Marino, Odegaard. I'm gonna say I would have probably gone Marino, but I think he's going to go Jorginho again, you know. I think Jorginho played quite well midweek. Him and Zinchenko link up quite nicely. So if Zinchenko's in there, Jorginho, I think, will come in. Declan Rice, who's been contributing quite nicely in the offensive third at the minute, I think he'll look to have him in that preferred position, which you can't do with Marino. So, yeah, I think Jorginho, Odegaard, Rice, same midfield three. And then I think Martinelli will go back over to the right and Trossard will come in for Sterling, who will start on the left, Havertz up top. I don't think Waneri will quite get a start just yet. He impressed when he came on, but Martinelli, Trossard both look like they're performing at a decent level at the minute. And I think with Girona next week, might look to keep Waneri for that one. So that's a quick summary on the Arsenal team news. My mate Andrew's in saying up the arse. Hope you're good, mate. Yeah, on to the fun stuff. Score prediction. So you kind of touched on there a bit about, you wouldn't be surprised if Cunha scores. We've touched on set pieces. Before you give your score prediction, I guess, how do you actually see the game panning out and then informing the score you go with?
I reckon we'll probably make some big chances, out of nowhere. Probably miss them and then get punished from a corner. That just feels like the script for nearly of most of our matches. I think that's what's going to happen. We'll probably try to start really well because Arsenal's defense is like not at full power.
Yep.
They'll probably make a big chance. Ray will make a big save like he did in the first match of the season against Larson, and then you'll put a cross in. Our players will just stand still and watch Gabriel head it in, something like that. And then we'll just end up falling apart and get picked off.
Fair play. So what score would you go with then, do you reckon?
Probably 2-1, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, interesting. There was one, I was watching Arteta's presser this morning and there was one journalist, forgot who it was, but he was basically saying, oh, Arsenal has scored in like every match against Wolves going back to 1979. Like, so does that mean tomorrow? I was like, what has that got to do with anything? Like, it's literally
No, they're definitely scoring tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think it's like, it won't be because of that. I find stuff like that just always blows my mind. But yeah, the way you described the kind of adversity at Wolves, it kind of feels like we could be playing you at the right time. But I also agree with what you're saying. Like, yeah, we're not at our full defensive power. But I don't know, if Jorginho comes into the team, I think we'll have a level of control that I think will help us minimize your ability to create chances for us just by how much we will hopefully have the ball.
We might physically dominate him, though. I was a bit happy. Jorginho, I was thinking Joe Gomez and Andre could actually knock him about a little bit.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah, I'm just hoping that Arsenal have enough of the ball where you don't get the chance to do it, but you're definitely right. There could be periods where it happens. And do you know what? You saying, I forgot we played you first the game of the season. That feels like so long ago. But yeah, I mean, this season
we played all right that day.
We did.
Just didn't take a chance to score. That's it.
Yeah. My score prediction is I'm going 2-0 away win. Uncle Mike's got the same 2-0. He says set piece FC.
Yeah, it'll happen 100%. If it doesn't happen, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked if we don't concede a set piece goal against the set piece monsters.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's it's a tough place to go, Molineux. To be fair, I've been fortunate. I've been there twice. It's quite a weird away end where it's like just one long. It's one long away end as opposed to the traditional kind of corner and stuff. But random. I don't even know what this comment is I'm about to say, but I had my best ever chicken balti pie at Wolves. So it's that's my nice memories of Molineux. But I was there when Martinelli had that kind of double yellow and got the red, and then I was there for the final game before the World Cup, where I think we went 5 points clear, top of the league 2 years ago. And
do you remember that game with David Luiz?
I wasn't at that one, but I do remember that one.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean that was that the year you guys were in and around top 6.
I think no, we were struggling that season. That was Nuno's last season.
Okay, fair play.
One of the only things Willie and Jose did for us, bless him.
Yeah, what's the feeling towards Nuno now? Kind of seeing what he's doing at Forest.
It's just the same. It's just like he was loved when he was left. It was just, I think he just checked out. I don't know. He just didn't. When somebody doesn't look the same, like with the face. I don't know. It just seemed like maybe the time was up. Because things come to an end. Like it'll come to an end at Forest eventually. It's just he seems to be peaking a lot higher with them than he did with us, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah,
especially with Morgan Gibbs White, who we don't seem to get on with at Wolves, but now they seem fine with each other.
No, fair play. But Bradley, lovely to have you on. Thanks for talking through everything Wolves and your perspective on the things this season. I do hope things pick up for you guys, but not tomorrow. Good luck tomorrow. Thanks for coming on. Where can people follow you on the socials and hear all of your good content that you produce for Planet FPL and more?
It's at Parker_Bradley. It's pretty much the only one I use, really.
Nice one. Thanks again, mate. All the best for the rest of the season. For everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Go give Bradley a follow on the socials. We'll be back on Friday. Sorry, not Friday. Today's Friday. We'll be back on Sunday to review the game with Finn, who's actually going to Molineux tomorrow. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when we go live. Drop the stream a like. 5-star reviews on audio go a long way. And as I always say, we're a few subs away from 350. So share it with your Gooner mates if this is a bit of them. Bradley, thanks again. On to tomorrow. To Molineux we go. Up the Arsenal and see you on Sunday.